you doing? My name's Enoch, and what's your name?
Fareed.
Reed. All right. So I'm gonna ask you 6 questions, and it's about the 2000s and 2010s, about history. So, yeah. First question: what was your favorite thing about growing up in the 2000s and 2010s? What about that time? What What made that time fun or different?
I would say less technology is what I noticed when I look back. I was out on outside more often. I was always looking for something to do, and that made me move a lot. So I was looking for sports. I was looking for activities. Wanting to, take a bike ride, walk through the mall. Always wanting to do things out and about.
Yeah, for sure. So, what do you think you had more fun at that time, or compared to like now, or
Yeah, I would say so. I was because it was a combination of thinking and working and playing um, outside, and now many things are just just thinking. A lot of things are just working
yeah,
and on your computer, on your phone, and just thinking a lot. And a lot of activity I have going on is just not all in my mind, but it's a lot of that type of thing
yeah,
versus before.
yeah?
Before it was a better balance, I think.
It's just like more technology than like anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright. So my second question for you will be, how did things like iPhones, YouTube, or social media change your life back then? And did you become obsessed with any apps?
Well, I noticed that a lot of people around me were getting into the software and the apps. They were getting into the newer phones and the newer technology, newer laptops versus the desktop computer. And I was slow to adapt. I just wanted to make good use of the desktop computers I had, the old flip phones I had, just the things I had started with as I was learning the technology. And I would say that people invited me to get on Facebook. People invited me to say, hey, are you on this type of app or that type of app? And I would just determine if I wanted to spend time on or add it to my phone. Based on that, I wasn't really looking for apps or trying to get all the apps I can get.
Yeah.
It wasn't something I was really into. As I would describe my background, wasn't in technology. It wasn't in learning about apps. So I was slow to adapt those things in my life.
So did you have any like favorite apps or like software that you use?
I thought that since I was into games like Zelda and Street Fighter, that I would look for something similar. But those are mostly games. I didn't see an app that was addictive to me, so I just played around with a bunch of them.
Okay. So for my third question is, what type of music, movies, or TV shows were you into at that time? Do you still like watch or listen to any of them? So like any music or TV shows, do you watch or listen?
Yeah, I was into martial arts, so I was always looking for the Chuck Norris type of movies, Bruce Lee type movies, and there's a lot of those back then. Not as much now, as far as I can tell, except for the competitive fighting. But the movies, it seems like they have less kickboxing and less things like that today. So I followed those types of things. Um, the music, I would say I would have my favorites, and then I would explore the radio and CDs, DVDs, music and movies. I like soundtracks a lot. So if I see a movie has a great background soundtrack, I would look for the soundtracks of movies.
You listen to them?
Yeah, absolutely. The John Williams of the world, those are fantastic. You can think about Indiana Jones background, Star Wars background music. It's really just energizing.
Yeah. So do you listen to any of them or like watch any of the stuff?
Yeah.
Like right now?
Yeah, it's a great way to just return to the past and good memories and good things. And a lot of the older things just work. right? They're just solid. They're just good, whether it's an old vacuum or whether it's an old soundtrack. You know,
Yeah.
it brings back good memories. And so yeah, I want to visit those. It's like visiting a place that you want to go to once in a while. You went to a place in Florida or on vacation somewhere, and you'd love to go back every year.
Yeah.
Well, you can do it cheaper if you just listen to an old soundtrack or watch an old movie that you grew up with. You know, that would be.
That's good. That's good. For my fourth question, do you remember any big time events like the 2008 financial crisis, or Hurricane Katrina, or any other like a big event, and how did they impact you or people around you?
Yes, I remember a number of them. I remember 9/11. I remember Hurricane Katrina, and I remember the 2008-2009 crisis. For 9/11, I was in college for the first time, just starting, and it was the first couple weeks, I think, and then it happened. Well, I was in Florida and I was calling home to Maryland, trying to find out where my folks were, because I knew my mom had worked for the National Association of Letter Carriers, and so she was in Washington, D.C., and this was happening in different regions, not just New York. So I was calling, phone lines were down. I actually saw live the second plane hit the second tower, because the first one was all over the news. They called us all in an assembly, and people were talking about, while we were watching the first one, I saw the corner of my eye in the video, the second plane come in. And what's that? Boom, boom. So then we knew it was on purpose. It was before, it was like a big tragedy, just, oh man, how could this happen? But now we said, oh, there's a real attack. And so that was causing a lot of us to pray where I was, and we got together in circles and prayed, and so it changed the world, of course. And then Hurricane Katrina, I heard about it. It was so bad, so big, that some guys in my church actually wanted to go down. And by that time I was living in Tennessee. So we got together. He had an RV. He got a handful of guys, got some tools, and we left our church in Tennessee, and we drove south to Gulfport, Mississippi. And in Gulfport, Mississippi, I got to volunteer and rake mud out of homes, help a little bit with roof assembly, clean debris. Oh my goodness, so much debris coming down from Tennessee to Mississippi. The debris got worse and worse. It was just a little wood here, little chips of wood and things there. As you went down the highway, then things were starting to flatten, telephone poles and things like that. When you got closer to the core of where the hurricane hit, gigantic billboard beams were looking like Twizzlers. Like a Twizzler, literally, the steel of a beam, like a telephone pole, would become like a Twizzler.
It was like twisted up?
Just like a Twizzler. Steel beam holding up those big rectangular billboards.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe I'd never seen such a thing. Yeah. That's power. That's a lot of power. So I spent some time doing that. It was a great experience. There was a lot of different teams were there helping each other. Some people could only make food. Some people could go on roofs. Other people did other things. So it was great teamwork. Great American experience seeing what happened, fixing that up. And then in 2008-9, I was in a semi-rural part of Tennessee where it didn't hit us very hard. The financial crisis hit a lot of the bigger cities very hard. But where I was, the prices were fairly fair, but just, I would say moderate, nothing too high and fancy, so no one seemed to get hit around me very much. And we got through it pretty well and didn't feel the effects of it, but the news made you concerned. So much news.
All right. For my next question, what was school or work life back then? Was it that much different or around the same as today?
School back then would be just getting into the electronic way of learning. I would say a ton of electronic learning started to come up, but it wasn't prevalent where I was, Southern Maryland and Tennessee, and I would say that we just had a lot of book learning and some application of things we're learning. I can't say it'd be too much different because I grew up in public school, and I see how it is now. I would say it's definitely advanced, but unless you have particulars, I would say it's not too much different as far as learning, other than the electronics coming into play and trying to make things faster and better.
And for my last question, I would ask if you could go back to the 2000s or 2010s for a single day, what would you do? What is something you miss the most from those times?
I would definitely write down the last names of everyone I knew, so I could always go back and get in touch. I would say it would be great if I could take a day and visit all the people that I knew back then, and just was able to keep up with them consistently. You can look up people on Facebook, but if you don't know their last name, it's kind of difficult. And I'd say that I would just make the rounds and make better memories. Make sure that I was taking care of my own business and helping those I could around me, and taking advantage of the things that I acquired or the things I came across, because you're going to be about the same as you are now 5 years from now, except for the people that you meet and the books that you read and the experience that you experiences. So yeah, I would definitely learn more, meet more people, and try to experience more good things to make life as full as I could possibly make it. Because the joy is in the journey. I'll never get that time back. And I enjoyed a lot of good things. But when you look back, you could have done better or learned more or did more. And you don't want to waste time. We don't have any time to waste. Life is like a vapor, even today. It appears for a little time and vanishes away. So there is really no time to waste, and it's always good to be building a skill or helping others with your free time.
What do you say is the thing you miss the most?
The thing I miss the most from back then?
Yeah.
Generally, I could say the time of being that young, I would say just I miss being there at all the holidays with family from my childhood to that time. I would say that those moments, the special times. There's a daily rigmarole, as they say. Just you're doing your daily routine. But then the special times, like Thanksgiving and Christmas and Easter and other days, birthdays and such things. I would say those events, family and friend events, are what I would miss the most.
All right.
Hey, thanks for your time,
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me interview you.
My pleasure.
All right. That's it. Thank you.